Welcome to Dire Headlines. I'm Anthony Carlisle. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, we look back on Tsuji's large-scale distribution in tsunami-hit areas of Japan, in covering some touching stories on the way. Hopes of rebuilding from the wreckage of Japan's earthquake and tsunami emerge as we meet one local resident with dreams for the future. And we continue our series on Taiwan's aging population with a moving tale of a 66-year-old daughter taking care of her 86-year-old mother who suffers from Alzheimer's. The Tsuji Japan Disaster Relief Team completed their aid distribution in the hard-hit cities of Kamaishi and Rikuzen Takata of Iwate Prefecture on the weekend. Over the space of 4 days, some 6,500 residents received cash from Tsuji. Over 50 volunteers from Japan and 52 from Taiwan made sure the distribution went smoothly. Each volunteer relished the opportunity to give, much to the appreciation of the quake survivors, as well as the mayor of Rikuzen Takata, who stopped by for a visit.
Listening, singing, and even joining in with the movements of Tsuji volunteers. Aid recipients are all moved by the performance put on for their sake.
Seeing
the extent of the disaster, the rubble, the crashed cars, I was taken aback in dismay. So I thought that we could use Tsuji songs to send our love to them and let them know that Tsuji will always be by their side.
Whether kneeling to comfort an aid recipient or bowing in hello or goodbye, the actions of each volunteer is steeped in diligence and attentiveness.
Please watch your step so you don't fall. If I forget to say it in Japanese, I just take a quick look at my notes here. Seeing everyone so happy, how could I be tired or weary?
Behind the volunteers' effort is an ability to place themselves in another's shoes.
5 years ago, my storehouse burned to the ground and 100 million NT dollars of stock went up in smoke. That feeling is so hard to describe. And when I see these disaster victims, my heart just aches.
As well, volunteers try to transmit the founding values of Tsuji to recipients through a handmade bamboo bag.
It was originally a PET bottle before I cut a hole in the top. The important thing is to let them know how Tsuji started 45 years ago, which was the love of many, as well to teach how this love came to be.
The aid that victims have received is the accumulation of the love of many. Also here in love are Tsuji's architectural commissioners.
The houses here are basically finished. Either their windows are broken, or if the windows aren't broken, then the structure is off kilter. In a situation like this, where do you run to?
Looking at the ravaged landscape, the volunteers feel the pain of the disaster victims. The mayor of Rikuzen Takata can feel the genuine love of the volunteers.
Although we have received aid and encouragement from around the world, we have felt how these volunteers from Taiwan have been able to sympathize and truly understand the pain and feelings of the residents here.
Although some 6,500 households received aid in 4 days, Tzu Chi sees its work here in Japan as far from finished.
During the disaster, many schools collapsed. Now these children are transferred elsewhere and things like that. These children have lost their friends and don't really have a good education environment in which to learn. And this worries the master. Master Zheng Yan took the philosophy gleaned from the 9/21 earthquake in Taiwan, which he then shared with the leaders of Rikuzen Takata and Kamaishi. They were all very willing and hope that Tzu Chi, in the realm of education, will leave a memorial for the children and grandchildren. As we saw in our first story, the Tzu Chi Japan Disaster Relief Team concluded its first large-scale cash relief distribution in Iwate Prefecture around the 3-month anniversary of the earthquake and tsunami. Many inspirational stories emerged from the distribution. In our next piece, we introduce you to Sato Sadaichi, or Sato-san to his friends. The disaster survivor from Rikuzen Takata has dreams of rebuilding for the future.
It is hard to fathom the destruction caused by the recent earthquake and tsunami in northeast Japan without coming here personally.
Yeah, beautiful city, but now nothing, everything, nothing.
Sato-san owns a seed shop. On March 11th, he lost everything to the disaster.
Can I help you? いらっしゃいませ。谢谢光临。欢迎光临，欢迎光临。ここね。My shopping place. So I haven't. I have nothing. I have nothing.
Any disaster victims that fall into our criteria, we shall do our best to help them and deliver the aid to them. Master, please do not worry.
After some 2 months of planning and surveying, Tzu Chi Japan chapter decided that cash relief was the best way to help the disaster victims directly. With the support of Tzu Chi members around the world, the Buddhist NGO was the first foreign NGO authorized to carry out a cash relief distribution in northeast Japan. Some 100 volunteers from Taiwan and Japan then headed for Iwate Prefecture. Upon arriving, each volunteer take their respective position to serve the residents. They overcome the language barrier with body language and smiles.
When I came through the front door, you embraced me warmly. I saw how you treated us courteously. You have inspired me to work harder as well. They are all very grateful that we have come all this way to help them. She tells me she has nothing left except that she's alive. That's really...
What they received is not the cash inside, but the love of Tzu Chi, and that's why everyone is moved. Such shared sentiment is what draws us to them. We are touched and so are they, and we feel our hearts are bounded together.
Of course, the money helps, but more importantly, by you coming here with such a sincere attitude, that's what's going to live on forever in our hearts.
Sato-san is reinvigorated, feeling the love inside Tzu Chi's relief package. Since the disaster, he has reopened his store in a tent and dreams of rebuilding his store once again.
希望种子 I haven't this place, but this is I have. So, this is the answer.
Sato-san and many others like him who Tzu Chi volunteers came across will continue to rebuild with a renewed faith and hope for a better tomorrow.
Sato-san, who comes from Rikuzen, Takata, is not the only tsunami survivor with hopes for a better tomorrow. In our next report from Japan, we go over to Kamaishi to meet other disaster victims who were encouraged by the aid they received from Tzu Chi.
At 5 in the morning, Tzu Chi volunteers from Tokyo get ready for another distribution in Iwate Prefecture's Kamaishi. At the distribution site at a local emergency response center, the security guard from the day before is now volunteering along with the volunteers before his shift begins. Ogasawara-san learns to say Master Zeng Yan's name in Chinese. He received his relief pack the day before and is here again to learn more about Master Zeng Yan. Ogasawara-san also has a personal message for the master.
I hope that Master Zeng Yan can help Buddhism in Japan to return to its origins.
Kashiwazaki Rotaro lost his home and his only daughter to the disaster. He and his wife now live in a local community center. Once a senior member at a local steel company, Kashiwazaki-san has naturally become the leader at the center.
他比你多，他有9位孙子。3个小孩。拍谁？你有小叔，他有4位。难怪他的孙子会比较多啊。
About 16 people live together here under one roof. They weren't very close before the disaster. But now they have formed the Victims Association and are like family after living together for 3 months. The men search for usable resources while the women take on kitchen duties. Everyone here all receives Tzu Chi's aid package. The love the volunteers deliver means a great deal to these survivors, and they are at a loss for words. Mission accomplished, the volunteers bid their friends goodbye as they continue to cheer on more victims in need.
There are over 640,000 home carers in Taiwan. Most are in their 50s and 60s. The heavy burden of looking after their aging and ailing relatives builds up over the years, often leading to exhaustion, depression, and sometimes even suicide. But in our continuing series of feature reports on Taiwan's aging population, we find out how one 66-year-old daughter copes with looking after her 86-year-old mother, who suffers from Alzheimer's.
今天我要分享的就是我与我的失智妈妈。来，我先 请我的妈妈跟各位见一个面。来，可爱的老夫差，请出场啦！哇，今天他们是穿一样的衣服。老夫差，你今天高不高兴？高兴。因为来这边看有没有好多好朋友，是不是？哎，我的好朋友多得很呀。哇，高兴的好朋友，好高兴的。
This white-haired pair are mother and daughter. The mother is 86 and the daughter 66. The sight of the old looking after the even older is becoming more common in Taiwan. Today, daughter Liao Lanzhen has been invited to give a speech to university students on My Senile Mother.
张希瑾，是你呀！哎呀，好久不见，好久不见，握握手，握握手。哎呀，张希瑾你好啊！好得很，好得很啊！高兴，高兴哦！我是谁呀？你是我们嘛？哦，你是我们呐？你是我们的。我是谁？是你们的，对不对？对啊。那你是我妈妈，对不对？啊？你是不是我妈妈？是你妈妈。哦，你们有，我就让你们现场听听看。我们要10个来预备起。1、2、3、4、5、6、7，哎呦，7个，对不对？哦，你好棒哎！哪个他家是红色？哪一个？看看，对不对呀？Looking
after a senile dementia sufferer is not easy. To stop her mother deteriorating too quickly, Liao Lanzhen has come up with some of her own memory exercises.
我教学生教了30几年。
I taught students for over 30 years, so I took that school experience of teaching children and revived it.
又把它重新找回来，加油哦！哎呦，100分，拍手，太好了！
Yet, no matter how hard she works, nothing can stop her mother's memory fading.
这个呢？那是耳朵吗？哦，这是耳朵啊。那这个是什么呢？这个也是耳朵。哦，好多耳朵，对不对
？Going along with whatever her mother says, Liao Lanzhen says she has to exercise patience to deal with the Alzheimer's sufferer.
We have to take everything she says as the first time. Everything is a new start.
It's a tiring job, but the enthusiastic Liao Lanzhen works hard to keep her octogenarian mother happy.
这边跳跳看哦，有音乐吗？耶！我很高兴，你说对不对？我更高兴了。
Elementary school teacher Liao Lanzhen took early retirement so that she could look after her mother full time.
你现在看到了我。
The person you can see now compared to 4 years ago is about 10 kilos thinner. In the first 3 months, I lost over 10 kilos.
10几公斤，这是什么字？这2个字。
在家里面的家庭照顾者有80%。
Home carers are 80% female. We work out that these home carers work for an average of 13.55 hours a day. Most home carers can sleep continuously for an average of 4 hours.
The vast majority of home carers are women. Other statistics show that 20% suffer from depression in the first 2 years, and 87% suffer chronic mental exhaustion. Meanwhile, their infirm relatives lose contact with their social circle within an average of 2 years. To avoid becoming reclusive, Liao Lanzhen often takes her mother outside. Knowing the pressure her fellow caregivers are under, Liao Lanzhen always finds half a day a week to come here. Liao Lanzhen is a volunteer at the hospice ward of Taipei Tsuji Hospital, where she uses her musical talents to help family members relax.
一整天照顾的辛苦，有稍稍放松一下，心情会比较好，心情会放松，真的会放松。当
When these carers or people under their care feel in a better mood, even if it's only a moment, I think it's worth coming.
When she's not caring for her mother, Yao Lenzhen somehow finds the energy to help other carers relax and pay attention to their own emotional health so that they will have the heart to keep going. On this day, the 15th of June, the personal physician of French King Louis XIV, Jean-Baptiste Denis, performed the first documented blood transfusion on this day in 1667. Denis used a silver tube to transfer around 300 milliliters of sheep blood into a boy's body, who survived the transfusion. The director of Taiwan's National Police Agency at the time, Zhou Ju-chun, announced on this day in 1974 that the then Central Police Academy would take female students. This day also became National Police Day in 1979. Following the Taipei Women and Children's Hospital, the second breast milk bank in Taiwan was established by Dr. Chen Qiongling from National Taiwan University Hospital on this day in 1985. Dr. Chen encouraged mothers to breastfeed their newborn babies and store their breast milk at a temperature of 20 to 30 degrees below zero. The bank also provided premature or ill infants with healthy breast milk. The zoo, originally situated in Shizi Bay of Kaohsiung, Taiwan, was moved to Wanshou Road after some replanning. It officially opened on this day in 1986, becoming a popular destination for local residents. The name would later be changed to Shoushan Zoo. At a remote village in Malaysia's Sabah, which was virtually cut off from the outside world, Tzu Chi volunteers worked with local residents to build a bridge, which opened on this day in the year 2000. Villagers named it the Tzu Chi Da Ai Bridge. During the SARS epidemic, Tzu Chi Senior High School held its first graduation ceremony in Hualien's Jingse Hall on this day in 2003. All graduates and participants had to wear face masks. As graduation certificates were handed out to the students, they entered a new stage in life. Situated in Switzerland, the Lochberg Base Tunnel stretches for 34.57 kilometers across the Alps and is the longest land tunnel in the world. The opening ceremony was held on this day in 2007, and full-scale operations would later take place in December of the same year. The tunnel allows passengers and cargo to get to Italy via Germany in the shortest possible time. Finally for today, Tzu Chi volunteers taking part in a multicultural festival in Mississauga, Canada filled the Chinese pavilion with eco-friendly products and displays. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching Da Ai Headlines. Goodbye.